So Joe Rogan is they released a video of a compilation out of context of him saying the N word. Now I had already seen this before, and like a couple years ago, I thought anyway, and Joe had already addressed it, and I thought we had moved on, but no, that so the establishment is trying to shut him down. They do not want Joe Rogan around talking about Joe Biden or COVID or anything that goes against the establishment status quo because they're losing control of the narrative and they've got to get it back. So they this video starts circulating, right? Look at that, 1.8 million views. Look at that, right? So I'm not going to play it. So it's him saying the N word in a bunch of the places that. And then Andrew Schultz, everybody knows the hilarious Andrew Schultz. He says, "Who do y'all think is behind this attack on Joe Rogan?" Well, guess what? We found out.
Wait, so Jimmy, I just want to mention my friend that sent me that stuff that I was texting you last night. My buddy V from his channel's Romanian TV. He's the one who made me aware of that. He goes, "You want to know who's doing it?" Because this isn't like secret leak stuff. He dug it up, these companies. But that's where I found out about it was
Right.
from V
Yeah.
from Romanian TV.
Yeah,
VEE.
and so Kurt gave me the heads up on this yesterday, and then we also found this Twitter thread that kind of explains it pretty clearly. Woke a distance. Is that what it is? Wokel.
Local?
Wokel. I don't know what that means.
It's like social distance, I
Oh,
guess.
okay. Yeah, that is. Since you asked, and I love your work, I'll tell you, this is the professional political attack. 3 waves, one right after the other, is not a coincidence. Good spacing, good timing, so it's absolutely professional. But who was it, you ask? That takes some digging. The video compilation of Rogan saying the N-word was dropped by Patriot Takes. That's the Twitter account at Patriot Takes 6 days ago. You see the video in this tweet is in pick 1, and Patriot takes credit for republishing the information in pick 2. That they take credit is important, and you'll see why shortly. So, as you can see in their bio, Patriot Takes has partnered with
Midas Touch.
Midas Touch. And this is where maybe I am dyslexic. And
No,
this is
it's not spelled right. Their name is like Milas or something.
oh,
the guys
okay,
that
that's
run
why
it. So
I
they
wanted
made
to
a-
say Medius, and I'm like, that's not how. It's
Yeah.
Midas Touch. Okay, so and this is where it gets interesting. Who is Midas Touch? Well, they are a professional political organization. In fact, they are a Democrat super PAC. More on that in a moment. Run by 3 brothers, and you know that Joe Rogan endorsed Bernie Sanders, who was to the left of the Democratic Party, and that angered all the Hillary Clinton voters, and then it angers all the Joe Biden voters, and so he's an enemy of the Democratic Party. So this is a Democratic Party hit job.
From the Jonas Brothers of propaganda.
Yes, from the Jonas Brothers of propaganda. Here is their there it says Patriot Takes. That's who tweeted out this video, and here's where it comes from. Partnered with Midas Touch, 440,000 subs. Followers. Ben, Brett, and Jordan Midas, or Misleys, however they say that name.
Yeah,
Misalis.
Misalis.
Misalis. Yeah.
All of them have worked in media and have expertise in understanding and manipulating media. The most important thing for us is that Brett was a social media manager for Ellen DeGeneres.
Oh, great job, dude.
And as Tim Dillon said, and Ellen DeGeneres was running Abu Ghraib in the back. Is an expert editor, which matters because behind Midas Touch, how 3 brothers slammed Donald Trump daily with razor sharp viral videos. That's in Variety.
How much you want to bet they're not razor sharp?
So here, let's read this. Midas Touch, a political action committee formed earlier this year by brothers Ben, Brett, and Jordan Misles, who have deep connections to their entertainment industry. Their father is a top music attorney, Kenny Misles, who reps Sean Diddy Combs, Lady Gaga, The Weeknd, Lizzo, and others. Ben, who's 35, is a litigator and civil rights attorney who represents exiled NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick and led a class action suit over the disastrous 27 Fire Festival. Brett's 30 is a video editor and former head of a post-production and social media for Ellen And Jordan, who's 27, is an executive at Steve Stout's branding and marketing firm translation.
Oh, by the way, Ben, he just messaged me. He's retweeting that nonsense video over and over again to try to make sure the algorithm picks it up as much as possible. So that little smear job that they put together, this dude's just retweeting it over and over and over right now
Okay.
to try to get it out as much as possible.
So Patriot Takes works with Midas Touch, and I'd say it's a safe bet that given their expertise in social media management, that the N-word video is created by Midas Touch. But we are not done. Midas Touch is a super PAC. Well, what's a super PAC, you ask? A super PAC is political advocacy group with a special twist. Super PACs may raise unlimited sums of money from corporations, unions, associations, and individuals, then spend unlimited sums to overtly advocate for or against political candidates. This means that a super PAC can take unlimited amounts of money and then spend however they want politically. Midas Touch is a super PAC. They can take in as much cash as they want. $4.7 million for the 2020 cycle and $1.5 million for the 2022 cycle, to be exact. To recap, Midas Touch is super PAC, which can collect as much cash as it wants from pretty well anywhere, and is a professional strategy and media firm run by people with deep ties to entertainment, likely had a hand in the N-word video Patriot Takes used to attack Joe Rogan. So the question is, why? Why would they do this? Why are they doing this, and what do they have to gain? Well, I think the clue can be found in the letter Patriot Take they wrote about all this. Look at the highlighted part, and what does that tell you? So the highlighted part says this. This past week, Patriot Takes republished and brought to the national spotlight dozens of recorded instances where Joe Rogan used the N-word. The videos have now received millions of views. Why is that important? Patriot Takes is bragging about their millions of views and how they made the videos that center of the national conversation. They are bragging about their clout. Rogan is the one guy that leftists can't cancel. If a group could cancel Rogan, it would be a massive show of power. Woke people and legacy media groups have been trying to cancel Rogan for ages because he steals their audience and doesn't play by their rules. Rogan also offers his enormous platform to people like Jordan Peterson that woke progressives in media circles really don't like. The group that takes out Rogan would gain a lot of clout and a lot of power. The group that can say, we canceled Rogan, if we can get him, we can get you too, would be able to swing a very large stick. And that's what this is ultimately about. It's a play for power.
Look out, David Brock. There's some new bottom feeders in town.
That's right. That's exactly right, Kurt. In short, Midas Touch is a political super PAC that is very likely behind the Patriot Takes account. They're attempting a viral hit on Joe Rogan so they can take him out because they don't like him and because they want to monetize clout for having done so.
Right.
So Andrew Schultz, that's who's behind this. The question is, what can we do about it? If every person who Joe Helpful said we are with him, if every person who helped Joe out, is that what that says? Helped out, said, we are with him, and we will tell our audiences to cancel Spotify if they cancel Joe, this would be over in a day. The next thing, well, of course, I never went to Spotify before Joe Rogan. I don't ever go there for any other fucking reason.
I catch him on YouTube still.
I would never, there wouldn't be a reason for me to go back to Spotify, believe me.
Yeah, right.
If everyone won't stand up, we need brave people to lead organic pushback. Brett Weinstein has been doing this with his Thanks Joe Rogan hashtag. And finally, it needs to be made clear to Spotify that if they cave, they will pay a significant cost. We have to make that clear. They need to pay a cost for this. If we can do those things, I think we can protect a guy who has done so much for so many. So, just in case anyone still thinks that the attack on Rogan was organic, we have pre-made scripts out there about canceling Rogan, and they're the same word for word. That ain't organic. So here's one. I'll show it to you. It's from Paul Kogan. He says, it's time for Spotify to be accountable to listeners and stop the spread of disinformation on the platform. Spot shares are down 30%, and they've lost $4 billion in market value in the past few days. Sign the petition if you agree Spotify needs to drop Rogan. Here's a guy, and as the Buddha says, it's time for Spotify to be accountable to listeners and stop the spread of dis. Holy shit. So this is the actual misinformation. This is actual propaganda. So Joe Rogan, again, isn't the liar, isn't the bad faith actor. He's not the propagandist. He's not the misinformer. It's the people who are against him. Of course. Who's against him? The government and the corporate media. And political organizations like the Democratic Party and their super PACs. Here's some more. It's time for, this is Whit Germano, him. It's time for Spotify to be a there it is. There's another one. The exact same message. Is there more? Here's another one. It's time for Spotify. That's Gene Feeney. It's time for Spotify to be accountable. Listen, there it is. So Midas Touch absolutely advises and works with Patriot Takes. And by their own admission, Midas Touch helps Patriot Takes with strategy, building and boosting their fundraising profile. This is all professional. And so was the hit on Rogan. And I found this on Twitter. This was kind of, well, here.
Control you. And you made a really good point. You said the thing is, if you censor yourself just 1%, you say, I'll just censor myself 1%. That's what they want. I'm going to make them happy. And then they're just going to keep moving it. They're just going to keep moving it forward, moving the goalposts, and providing you with more money and giving you more things, but keep moving it in a certain direction. And if you keep giving into it, they're going to have a hold of you and they can control you. And you made a really good point.
So I don't think they can control Joe Rogan. Even though they gave him $100 million, I think Joe would have no trouble walking away from that. But he's not going to walk away. But if they cancel him, I'm sure he gets to keep that money. So I'm sure the incentive is for them to keep him. But he doesn't need them. He doesn't need a. I'm not saying Joe Rogan is bigger than Spotify or bigger than YouTube. I'm saying he doesn't. He could go to JoeRogan.com, and I'm sure those 11 million viewers will follow him. I would
probably have more. Didn't he lose viewers going to Spotify in the first place?
Yeah, there was a big slump when they lost a lot of. They lost me. I couldn't figure out how to work the goddamn Spotify app. And then I think they rejiggered it around, and now it's a little bit better. So anyway, now he's, and by the way, why aren't people? So there's this. I don't know if you've ever seen this. This is Howard Stern saying the N-word in the most vile way possible. Right? Unbelievable. I'm not going to play it.
Oh, good. I'm so relieved you're not
I can't play it.
it.
I'm not going to play
it. Ugh.
I'm sure it violates community standards. I can't play.
Oh, that's Howard? I
Yes.
thought that was Justin Trudeau.
And you saw this before, right, Kurt? I don't have to show you.
Yeah.
I mean, he says
I saw it when it came on as a child.
it was just, and
the
but
Channel
no
9
one's
show.
making a video of him doing this. Why is that? Why aren't they passing a video of Howard Stern around? Why? Because Howard Stern now props up the status quo. He is the establishment. That's why. You never have to worry about Howard Stern saying anything that's going to upset the establishment, which is why he's on family television at 7 p.m. That's why he's on ABC at 7 p.m. doing a talent show, because he is no longer a threat to the establishment. Howard Stern's real talent was he was able to get, he brought on women to have sex on his radio show. So what he did was he got people to listen to pornos. That was his real talent. Anyway, I'm not going to go through any more of this. Oh, how about this? So watch this. So they're trying to make him out to be racist, and so watch this. Here he is with Ben Shapiro.
The way to fight against that is to make good decisions. And so the
you fight against the system to make sure that the system has rules that apply equally to everyone.
Right, but you clearly see that there's a big difference between people coming over here willingly and doing so in order to better their lives versus someone whose ancestors were dragged over here to be sold as property, and then dealing with the repercussions of that being your family history and red line laws and all the other things that were put in place to sort of keep them in very specific areas, which to this day remain crime-ridden, gang-ridden, deeply impoverished community.
Does that sound like a racist or crazy right-winger? Or does that sound like a guy who has empathy and understanding of a social problem that affects people of color? And he pushes back against Ben Shapiro right there. You can't pretend that everything's equal, Ben. That's what he's saying. That's what Joe Rogan's saying. That's the opposite of what you would think he would say, right? If you just got your information about Joe Rogan from the establishment media or Twitter or Facebook. Here's what Tim Dillon says. It's a political hatchet job. It's obvious to anyone with eyes. The debate about the vaccine has been over. UK just opened, no restrictions. They don't want him on the air for the next election cycle. Press secretary asked Spotify to do more. It's not a conspiracy. It's out in the open. The government is urging corporations to censor voices that are dissident.
Remember when Trump said, Russia, please hack Hillary's emails,
right, remember
which
that?
was a crime. This is not at all disturbing to any of the people that, that want this to happen because they just don't like Rogan.
So here's what Glenn says. It was only a question of time before the all-out war on Rogan began. He's way too big and off-key to permit him to keep going. The concept of free speech in the United States is a mirage. You have it right up to the line where it matters or can threaten power centers. Then you don't have freedom of speech anymore. They'll give you freedom of speech. You know, you can do wet-ass pussy videos and all that stuff on CBS. But if you actually threaten the establishment, that's when you lose your freedom of speech, like Julian Assange. Like RFK Jr., like Dr. Robert Malone. So
you see what Glenn put because he's way too big and off key. That's like good wording because I've heard that the last like 20 times there was some move to cancel something. They go after his tone deaf comments. Not whether it's wrong or right. It was tone deaf. That's always the you can't hear the song we're singing, and you're not going to sing on key with us of the same song because we're all singing it.
Here's what Glenn went on to say. Every major institution is united to destroy Rogan, including the White House. The press secretary, speaking on behalf of the U.S. government, demanded Spotify do more to stop him, and this is treated as normal and benign. Ask Julian Assange if effective dissent is permitted. The power derived from controlling the flow of information is immense. That's why every tyrant and authoritarian wields censorship power. Tyranny can't exist without it. And as Orwell and Chomsky have both said, the most effective form isn't jailing dissidents, but doing this, censoring them. Read what Orwell said about why censorship in the UK during the war was so much more effective than the overtly autocratic regimes that just imprisoned dissidents. The British don't have to. They have their compliant media unite to punish and destroy the reputation of dissidents. And here it is. The sinister fact about literary censorship in England is that it is largely voluntary. Unpopular ideas can be silenced and inconvenient facts kept dark without the need for any official ban. Anyone who has lived long in a foreign country will know of instances of sensational items of news, things which on their own merits would get the big headlines, being kept right out of the British press, not because the government intervened, but because of a general tacit agreement that it wouldn't do to mention that particular fact. Anyone who challenges the prevailing orthodoxy finds himself silenced with a surprising effectiveness. A genuinely unfashionable opinion is almost never given a fair hearing, either in the popular press or in the highbrow periodicals. we're at that point where we also arrive in these cycles. If you object to the attempt to silence Rogan, then you will be instantly tarred with the same brush used to try to destroy him. You're a racist, anti-vax, etc. That's the enforcement mechanism to keep everyone quiet. This racism charge, from splicing together a bunch of context-free snippets over the years, reeks of desperation, but it too was inevitable. Racism accusations are the central toy to every silencing game in the United States. You can make anyone look racist with it. Good times to post this one as Barack Obama's best moments, where he denounces what he calls woke activism as the superficial and self-serving delusion that it is, explains that it's just about the self-esteem of the denouncers, and mocks the idea that silencing people is activism. Let's listen.
You know, this idea of purity and you're never compromised and you're always politically woke and all that stuff. You should get over that quickly. The world is messy. There are ambiguities.
Yep.
People who do really good stuff have flaws. People who you are fighting may love their kids and, you know, share certain things with you. And I think that one danger I see among young people, particularly on college campuses, Malia and I talk about this. Yara goes to school with my daughter. But I do get a sense sometimes now among certain young people, and this is accelerated by social media, there is this sense sometimes of the way of me making change is to be as judgmental as possible about other people. And that's enough. Like if I tweet or hashtag about how you didn't do something right or used the wrong verb, or then I can sit back and feel pretty good about myself. Because man, you see how woke I was? I called you out. Let me get on TV, watch my show, watch Grownish. You know, that's not activism. That's not bringing about change. You know, if all you're doing is casting stones, you know, you're probably not going to get that far. That's easy to do.
Isn't it weird? Barack Obama how did he get that right? And so you're just seeing what happens when the establishment can't control the narrative, and Joe Rogan, this is what happens. They do character assassination, and that's exactly what's happening. If you actually go against them in an even more real way, who's this guy? This guy was the head of Quest. It was a telecommunications company. And when the NSA came around and they wanted him to give all the information on their users, his customers, over to the government, he said, no, this doesn't seem legal. So what did they do? They fucking ginned up bullshit charges against this guy and put him in jail for 5 years because he wouldn't turn over the data of his customers. And so do you see what they do when you go against the establishment? Do you see what they do to you? And here's NBC reporting it. They never mention any of that in the NBC article. Never mention any of that in the article. They make it sound like he was doing insider trading, and that's why they got him.
Isn't that what Putin was doing to people? I thought that was his big thing of somebody would say something or reveal something, and
And
they're
then
suddenly bad. Yeah.
So here is, I had to go to this website. Quest CEO, NSA punished Quest for refusing to participate in illegal surveillance pre 9/11. So there you go. So that's the story. You would never know that if you heard about it. So I'm just letting people know this is how they come for you. So they're coming for Joe Rogan. This is a coordinated hit funded by people, a super PAC for the Democratic Party. I hope Joe Rogan, I'm sure, will stand strong and not bend to this or buckle to this. Spotify might buckle. And then Joe Rogan gets his 100 million over at Rumble. That'd be great.
You know, by the way, I'll say this for the nightmare Chinese social credit system. When I was there, you knew at least exactly what all the rules were to not have the state do that to you. Here we have freelance,
Right.
like bounty hunter lynch mobs online who are auditioning. And then the rules, first of all, nobody has to tell you what any of the rules are until you break them, and then they're retroactive. So you saying, like, in no part was he saying the N-word as an insult to anyone. He was using it the exact same way every one of these media people were using it to talk about it, which at a certain time before, context was the higher dimension we can no longer peer into, was not a crime. And now retroactively it's a crime when it suits me.
Let me see what else I have in here. I don't want to play that. Everyone knows that if Spotify removes Rogan, he will move to a new platform with his millions of listeners. The points of this deny him the credibility of a major corporate platform and vilify and ostracize him to prevent further growth, to create an example for others. So that's what the establishment is getting out of this. They're trying to deny him credibility of a major platform. They're trying to vilify and ostracize him to stop his growth, and they're giving an example for other people like me and you, Kurt, to make sure we don't step out of line.
I've been made an example of quite a few times already. So
I'm with you. You and I have both been made an example of.
I didn't. It didn't like take very well.
We should call ourselves the
just no
Example Brothers.
Let's start a Metzger touch super PAC, a Metzgore touch.
I like the Example Brothers. We should get T-shirts.
Example Brothers super PAC.
The Example Brothers. What does that mean? It means we've been made an example of. That's what we mean.
Yeah.
All right, it is 420. Hey, we're doing live stand-up shows in Los Angeles, February 5th, February 12th, February 18th, February 20th, we're in Philadelphia, and then February 26th back here in Los Angeles in Studio City at our 60-seat theater. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for all tickets, and while you're there, become a premium member, get access to all our premium content.